Yeah, so now we can start. Today, we'll talk about Ingress controller. Ingress. So we'll see what is Ingress, how it will be useful. Based on that, we'll see. See, so far what we did is we created pods, and on top of it, we created our services, right? It can be, node port service or cluster IP service or load balancer service, and we were able to access that. That's what we did. And as I mentioned earlier, so you generally everyone try to use load balancer service because it will provide the basic load balancing for us, you know. So that we'll try to use that. So it's fine. I mean, it's all good. No worries. If you observe here, I mean, there is a service. It's sending the request to pods. It's fine. So imagine there's two services like this. We have to create two service load balancers. I mean, like we have application something. Let's say test application something. Test 1 2 3 something. So in order to access those, we need to create two different services, correct? So and I'm choosing like load balancer service. Why? Because generally there are multiple pods. So I want to have load balancing between them. Obviously, that's why I created a service type load balancer. Node port service is fine. You know that. This one. Cluster IP also fine. You can have access within the cluster. But I created a load balancer service type. It is good. All good. I mean, no issues. And I got one more service. Mm, okay, that is also fine. I mean, I'll create one more, I mean, I got one more application. I'll just simply create, one more service for that. So three load balancer services. So that is also fine. Like that, I have 10 services now. So it's a five, six. These are all services. Example. These are all we have to create service type load balancer for these things, right? Separately. See, it means the more the application are increasing, the load, I mean, the services will be increased obviously because if the application increase, we have to access them, so we need a service obviously. So we'll be creating a service. But let's say the service application count increase to 100. Will we create 100 services? Of course, we'll create 100 services, but isn't it difficult to maintain? Let's say I have 100 apps, I mean 100 applications. Obviously, in order to access that, I need 100 services. And of course, I need a load balancing service. Why? Because I want to share the load between them and the pods because obviously we'll be running multiple pods and like I want to access them outside the cluster. So this I got. So based on application count, this will the service count also will increase. If you are using node port, service type, you don't need to bother about anything here because of course you'll be creating a service with node port. Some random port will be assigned. You will be accessing that. There is no issue with that. All you have to is remember the ports or you just make note of the ports. There is no issue here. But with load balancer service type, we are creating a load balancers. I mean, if we are using on the bare metal instances, bare metal instance means without any cloud on VMs or something like that. There is a load balancer service called metal LV. So this will be like a load balancer if you are not using any cloud. If you are using any cloud, let's say AWS or GCP something, this will create that cloud load balancer. So if you use this type in on-prem, I mean like bare metal, you have to use set up this one, metal LB. If you are using in the same service load balancer type in any cloud, it will create the cloud load balancer, which does not come free of cost, obviously. And that 200 services, 100 load balancers means imagine how much we have to maintain. There will be definitely lots of maintenance work. Instead of all these things, let's say, of course, whether it be service load balancer or node port or cluster IP, 100 services has to be created. That is fine because for each and every application we have to create a service. Through the service only we'll be routing the traffic. That is okay. But my question is, I don't want to use 100 load balancer services types. I just want to use one load balancer, just one LB, route the traffic to all 100 services. Now, in this case, services, I can be in a cluster IP service. I can create a cluster IP service and from there to apps, I mean pods, whatever it is. So I'll just create one LB. Through that, my traffic should be routed to all the 100 services. With just one LB, one load balancer. LB means I'll create some sample service for the apps. Now all the traffic should be controlled through this one load balancer. That's what you're seeing here. It's what we call ingress. So client is there, of course, we are the client. When we access it, so it will go through ingress. Ingress have something called routing rules that we'll see later. Based on the rules, it will go to service, service to pods. Maybe a better example here. If you observe, there are two services, but there is only one ingress. If you observe ingress dot something service one, service two, something. So if traffic coming to ingress based on that, it will point to service one, service two. See like this. Let's say imagine like this 100. So with one ingress, we can route the traffic to all the services. But how? Ingress have the advantages like path-based routings and host-based routing. Path-based routing is something like based on the URL path, it will route the traffic to different services. Based on URL path. Sorry. As an example, let's say I showed you last time. This is the URL Amazon.com something blah blah here. Slash it EC2 means it will go to something. Slash something else, it will go to something else. Slash ABC, it will go to something else. So like this, see slash DM something here also. Slash something, image something. It depends on the application, whatever the rules they have. Here also, we define our own URL path. Let's say if my URL have slash A, go to service 1. If my URL have slash Z, go to service something. If my URL have slash test, go to something. So like this, we can add our own rules here. So that let's say we have 100 services. With one load balancer, I want to route the traffic to all the 100 services, to the apps. What do I do? I'll simply add 100 paths in one in this load balancer. I mean, obviously ingress. Slash 1, slash 2, slash, as example, I mean, just slash A to 100 or 1 to 100, something like that. Based on that, the routing will be done. The traffic will be routed. Got it? So we'll see that. We'll do that in practice. Next thing is host-based routing. Host also similar, like based on the host. Like host means the domain. If it is google.com, go to one service. If it is facebook.com, go to one service. If it is something else, go to one service like this. So based on the domain. Same thing based on the domains. Here based on the URL. I mean here based on the domain. In path-based routing, it's just one domain. After that, the URL slash whatever the endpoint. See here, if you see, let's imagine this is the URL media slash something slash. This is the These are the sub URLs we call it. These are the URL path, host path based routing. Based on this, we consider the path based routing. So now let's say google.com slash test. It will go to one service slash test or slash abc something. Let's say the domain. This is the domain. The domain itself is changed. Depends on the domain. Route the traffic to other services. That's called host based routing. So here one domain with multiple URL paths. Here multiple domains. We'll see that also. I mean, it won't work obviously because we don't have a domain. We have to purchase the domain, but at least we'll see how this looks. So these two are the main advantages of Ingress. Ingress. So what we will be doing is like we'll just set up the Ingress and use the Ingress. Configure these routing to our services. All we have to make sure is, of course, services apps should be running. I mean, the pods services should be running, and the ingress, whatever we are discussing now, the ingress topic, that should be running. That we, I mean, we have to run it obviously. So there are multiple types of ingress: Nginx, HF proxy, I think traffic array, FIK, something. I forgot the spelling, but yeah. So today we'll be using Nginx Ingress. Alright. Today we'll be using Nginx Ingress. Let's follow the steps. How to install? It's very simple. All you have to do is there are already manifest files available. You just need to apply them. That's it. It will start. Then we'll see how to add these routings, blah blah, and everything. So is it clear so far? I mean, before going into installation and everything. So you got an idea what is Ingress, what it's going to do. If you don't, let me know. We'll start again. No worries. Many doubts? So to keep it in simple, Ingress will be acting as a load balancer as well as a reverse proxy, where with one ingress controller, usually we call them controllers, ingress controller. Like since we are using Nginx ingress controller. If you are using HA proxy ingress controller like this. So this ingress controller, with one ingress controller, we route the traffic to all the services within the cluster based on path-based routings, host-based routing, so that we don't need to create multiple load balancers for each and every application. So we just create one load balancer we use for all services instead of creating one load balancer for each service. Got it? So what Ingress will do now, it will create a load balancer, obviously. So and we'll be using the load balancer to route the traffic to all the services. Let's see how to create that. This is the URL which I tried. Let's open. I'll send you the same thing in the chat, don't worry. What is Ingress, blah blah, you already seen this. See, in Kubernetes Ingress resource type similar to service, which allows you easily route traffic, enter in the cluster to single entry point to different services. That's what we discussed, right? One ingress, one entry point. So that will route the traffic to multiple services based on the rules. Traffic rules is defined by rules. See? So like that. So blah blah blah. Where is it? Setup Ingress. This is the install the Ingress Nginx Ingress controller. Since we are using Nginx Ingress, we have to set up this. So what it will do is it will sorry, it will create all the services which are which are required for the ingress. Get nodes, yes, they are ready. Let's try paste this. It's created all these we haven't we haven't discussed yet, but of course these you know it. Service deployments, these you know. It's creating a service, it's creating the pods. But remaining, what is these? We'll see maybe tomorrow. It's created. Let's see. Kubectl will get pods. Pods are running one by one. Oh shit. See, it's creating two. It created those two services. Okay, this is fine. This is default. If you see this load balancer service type, so automatically it will create a load balancer, and with that only we'll be accessing it. But in our case, we cannot create load balancer. You may ask why. We're on cloud, but we don't have access to create load balancer on cloud, and we can't create on-prem load balancer also. So what we're doing is we're changing this service type. I mean, this service is created by Ingress itself. The Azure Nginx Ingress controller is created a service called load balancer, and what it will do, it will create load balancer. If it have access to clouds, anything, it will create a load balancer. With that load balancer, the routing will be done usually. That's what generally happens. But now, since we don't have a load balancer here to use, we have to go for node port type. So the load balancer will be, I mean, like we have to use a specific port number to access the ingress without load balancer. So what I do is I'll edit this ingress, I mean service, sorry, this service. Directly we can edit like this. You can edit svc slash. You may ask what is this -n every time I'm using. This is for something called namespace. We'll see tomorrow that. For now, just keep it in mind that it's a namespace. So see that go to last. You have to do the same thing if you want to try it. To move the type load balancer to node port. Hope it should fine. Save it. Yeah, it's edited. Get svc. See, earlier it was load balancer. External IP is pending. This will be keep on pending because once the load balancer is created, the IP will be displayed here. But of course, as I told you, right, we don't have a load balancer. So what we'll be doing is we're using the node port service type for ingress. Of course, the working won't change, the routes won't change. Whatever the concept I told, the routes, path-based route, host-based routing, those are all will be present. Except that we don't, instead of using a load balancer, instead of using load balancer to access the application, we use a port number. That's it. Because we don't have a load balancer. So now ingress is set up. That's it. Just apply it and edit the service to change to node port. In our case, no, I mean usually no need to change this. This will automatically create a load balancer. But in our case, only while in our case we don't have load balancer. That's why we change it to node port. Now you can access the ingress. How? See these port numbers. 443. This port number you can use 9644. You can able to use. Let's go 9644. I need to allow first. Come on. Obviously not master, worker. Edit. What is the port number? 9644. I need to allow obviously. These are all will come when you start AWS. Don't worry for now. I'm allowing just Linux firewall. So as our IP address, I mean the node worker IP address. Hold on. 9644. See, is it correct? Yeah, 9644. See, if you see here what's happening, come on, man. That is the issue. This should not come actually. This should throw error like 404 not found. But I think I configured the rules. Let me delete. Yeah. Mm, service deleted. Next. Deploy. Now let's try. Let's refresh. See, this is the default page for Ingress. See, Nginx. Of course, Nginx Ingress. If you see here, we are using with port number. As I mentioned, right? We changed the Ingress service type from load balancer to port number because we don't have a load balancer. But the working will be same. The routing, everything will be same. We still use one Ingress controller to route the traffic to all the services. But the only difference is we access the Ingress controller with a port number instead of the load balancer URL. That's it. Keep in mind this one. Why I'm saying this repeatedly. So with this, the functionality won't change. So I want you to know that. So now Ingress controller is done. I mean, just apply. Where is this? Yeah, apply this. Change the Ingress type. See, he gave the command. Check the Ingress controller pods are running or not. This also you can see here. If you see the load balancer, same thing for us. But for him, he is on some other cloud, so he got the external IP. Observe here. But for us, it's not. So that's why we changed the thing. I mean, the load balancer type to node port. Browsing this IP will show you Nginx 404 page. That's what we shown, right? Correct. That's what Ingress is done. Let me send you that. You can bookmark it if you want. So Ingress installation is done. Let's remove this thing. Now the next thing is we have to set up the Ingress. I mean, setup means the Ingress controller is set up, is done. Now we have to write the manifest file for the Ingress, right? For the routes and everything. Let's start that. First, obviously, deploy our applications. kubectl apply. Sorry. Of course, Nginx and Tomcat is there. This the file. SVC. Of course, I need a service for the deployment. Let me open a service file. You will see nothing. Here, if you see just cluster IP service, just selector, just 80 port, target port also 80. It's not a node port service, just a cluster IP service. What we'll do with the cluster IP service? Access internally, that's it. Pods are running, SVC, yeah, see SVC cluster IP service, very good. Test SVC, see, it's also fine. We cannot access this, right? Obviously. Let's create one more service. Maybe one more application, maybe HTTP. Currently Nginx is running, let's create HTTP. What we do, let's copy this. I'm just doing what we know already. I'm not doing anything extra. I'm just copying the content. So what I'm doing, change the names. Obviously, you can't deploy with the same name. To deploy two applications, same names. PVPD. Replicas, okay, two are fine. Okay. Match labels. I have to change these labels. Obviously, correct. If I keep the same label for two applications, they think they are same, but they are different around one background. So app HTTPD, the labels are same, and I don't need two containers. Delete. These two containers is why I have two containers, just to show you that within one pod we can have two containers. So it's not mandated to have two containers. It depends on your requirement. Don't imagine that okay, Nginx and Tomcat should be within the same pod, not like that. Nothing like that. I just showed you an example. See the ML file is done. Now I'll apply it. created kubectl get po. So they are running HTTP reports. Now I have to create a service for that, right? Let's open the service. You know, instead of having a separate file, I can create two services in the same file. You know how to do it? Simple, just enter, go to starting, hash hash hash. Now we can just simply paste it. Oh, sorry. So earlier what we did, we created a separate deployment file for HTTPD and we just wrote it. No need to do that. You can simply divide with this three lines. So in ML we use this for starting of the file. So it thinks that okay, these are two different services. You can do like this. See whatever the deployment service, ingress, everything can be have in the same file. So no need to have different files. Just hyphen hyphen hyphen. We can simply give between those. And of course selectors app is equal to HTTPD. And of course I don't want Tomcat here. Target port 80, HTTP port is 80. Yeah, these are all fine. Let's say kubectl apply -f svc. It's created. See, two services are created. kubectl get svc. See, same file, but yeah, we can create obviously. That's fine, no problem. Now I have two applications running. One is Nginx. I mean, within the same application. Sorry, within the same pod, I'm running Tomcat and Nginx. Obviously, that is one. Another is running separately called HTTPD. Now, if I want to, let's forget about Ingress. If I want to access these two services, what generally we do, we create a node port service for separate port numbers, we access it. Or we have to create two load balancer services, one for Nginx, one for HTTPD, Apache. Correct? That's what we have to do so far. But we got Ingress now. With one Ingress, we can route the traffic to all the services. But does not mean that we don't need to create a service. We need to create a service, but no need to create a load balancer service for that. Just create a normal customer IP service. And with the Ingress, we'll route the traffic to these two services. Let's start. So now all applications are running fine. Now let's start with Ingress. Let's go here. See, this is the Ingress file. This is the API version. Obviously, this metadata. You can simply keep it. Test Ingress. Anything is fine. Annotations. These are the new thing, right? We haven't seen so far. Annotations are like some features that we are applying to this Ingress or some conditions, let's say like this. So what's happening is, so what type of, here if you see Ingress class Nginx you are using, this defines what type of Ingress you are using. If you are using HA proxy, simply keep it HA proxy like this. Since we are using Nginx, we keep it Nginx. How do I know? If you go to top, this is the what we did. Ingress deployed, right? I mean, Ingress controller is created. See, Ingress class is created, Nginx. So I'm using the same thing over there. And this one, rewrite target. So rewrite target means usually these two are Nginx things, general Nginx things. So when someone requests, it will always redirect to slash. From there it will go. Slash means google.com, let's say user access google.com/test. But first the request comes to google.com/ without the test, without the sub URL, the main URL it will come. From there it will route the traffic. That's what for rewrite target. This use rejects means regular expression true. This is not required for us, but yeah, we did it. Let's say you have let's say this one as an example. You don't know what is the URL. I mean the sub URL, the path. It can be anything. So what you do is at the time you add a condition like if the sub URL path is anything between A to Z or 0 to 9, Like this usually we write. Let me show you. Like like this. A to Z 0 to 9 without the track. Like this is called regular expression. And I mean, so it will go through this and filter out the things. Usually this is called Linux thing, the regular expression. So if you have a condition like that, you don't know, you need to use a regular expression, you can use this. If you don't want it, simply remove. But for now, in our case, we don't need it because we know what is the path. We don't need regular expression. It's not required for most of the cases unless you don't know. So these are called annotations. One is we have to define the class. Obviously, we have to tell which ingress you are using. Here, if you see, we just defining ingress, not Nginx ingress or HFMOS ingress. We just defining ingress. So as in annotations only, we have to define which ingress class you are using. Obviously, in Linux, it depends on which you have installed. And the rewrite target to slash. So always come to slash. Slash means the root. Google.com/abc something like that. Let's go here. Maybe let here. This is the URL currently we are accessing. But what is the slash means? Until here. This is the slash means the root. The root URL. This is the root URL. So always request come to here. From there it will go to here. That's what redirect target means. Now coming to spec. We have spec. So ingress class name. Obviously in Linux we have to define this one. And rules. I told you, right? Path-based routing and host-based routing. Here, currently, we are using path-based routing. We will use host also later, but for now, we are using path-based routing. It means one endpoint. I have only one domain, one endpoint. I mean, one website, and multiple paths. So rules, HTTP, path. These are you can remember this blindly, no worries. And what is the path? Slash. If the path is slash, I mean just the domain. Go to this service. What is the service name? Test SVC it seems. Port number is the 80. This is my service name. Where is this? Test VCC. This is gone. I mean the Nginx is running obviously here. So if this path is slash, it will go to here. This one. You can configure anything like this. We'll try that. Don't worry. First we'll try one. We just added one rule. What is the rule is? If the URL is slash, I mean the root URL, if anyone accesses the root URL, so it should go to my test HVC service. Obviously now test HVC, so far we cannot access it right from outside. So now let's try kubectl apply -ing, obviously spelling. It will take time, I know it. It will get timeout. There is something called there is something called validation webhook, which is taking too much time. It cannot create the resources. You have to delete that. So now it's created. See, I will give that command also. Don't worry. kubectl get ing see ingress test ingress is created. See, address will also come very soon. It will take some time. Meanwhile, we know what is the ingress URL. This is the ingress URL. So if you refresh now, what should come? What is the route here? Sorry, where is it? Slash. It should go to test SVC 80 port number where Nginx is running. If I refresh, Nginx should come. Let's see. See, because slash means the default page, whatever the default starting we use. See, you got it? Nginx system. Like this, you can change this to anything. Let's say now HTTP also there, right? And Tomcat also there, the same service. Let's try that. This is path, maybe Tomcat. If I slash Tomcat, this should go to test SVC because Tomcat also running in same, but port number is different, 8080. Now, sorry. slash httpd. You should go to different service. httpd svc port is 80 obviously. So like this, I can define n number of paths. Maybe here also, let's define Nginx. If Nginx, go to this one. So I remove the slash, the default path. So the default path next time will be 404 not found, which is the default page for Ingress. Now I define three rules. One is Nginx, Apache, Tomcat like this. One is two services, three different ports. So like this, we can define n 100 routes for 100 applications, for 100 services. It will route the traffic based on that. Let's try. Go to Ingress. You don't have to delete Ingress and recreate again. Simply go here. It will automatically update it. See, this is what we did. Just copy paste it. Keeps it will apply ing. See, it's configured. See, the IP address will come, but of course we don't do any of this. Let's refresh this page. Now what happens? The slash 404 not found. See, that's the default page. We removed the rule. Now what is the rule? Sorry, Nginx is coming. Tomcat is came because it's going to the service, the roots. HTTPD. This is the HTTPD. See, based on routes it's working, right? Is it clear? See how that's how we can able to do. That's how we can able to add multiple routes. This is called path-based routing. Clear so far? But see, that's how easy it is. We're just using one ingress, of course, without load balancer, with the port number obviously we're using, but that does not change anything. That does not change the configuration. That did not change, how we access it. The only thing is, without load balancer, we are accessing with the port number. That's it. That's the only difference. To remember that the working did not change. So far, we have seen path-based routings. See, let's say you have one more service. Add it, copy paste it, add it, blah blah blah. I can keep on adding. There is no issue. Got it? Is it clear? This is clear, right? Any doubts so far?
Mm. So, will it be possible to write
Custom
custom
message.
message here? Yeah, like since we don't set
So
anything
this
on
one.
the slash.
No, we cannot do
Um,
that. So
yeah,
what
right, right.
generally we do is we'll point an application to this default, obviously. What we point is UI applications will be there, right? Front end applications. We point that. No one leaves the slash like this with 404 Obviously, that's wrong.
No, suppose whenever we are downing the server, can we tag some dummy
Yeah, we
HTML
can do it.
file
So
like that?
simply what you do is, let's say, let me write a rule. So let's say this is the default rule, maybe SPC sample SPC something. So what user, I mean, let's say this is the UI application. Imagine now we are, if I open UI application will open obviously. When I want to deploy, what happens is they'll change the service name, which is pointed to sample index HTML file, wherever, I mean, it might be running somewhere, right, in the pod. They'll create a service and they'll point here to slash. The slash will open. That's it. As simple as that. I mean, so you can point anything. It's depends on your requirement. Let's say for slash, I mean, for the default endpoint, you want to point some application, you can do that. There is nothing requirement. I mean, no one leaves 404 but I'm telling you, this is the default page. You don't, let's say Nginx is already there. I'll use this. I mean, slash is also Nginx, slash Nginx also Nginx. I mean, just for example, I'm showing. Let's simply go there, change it, paste it. See now default also page will be Nginx on anything, whatever your requirement is. It's not mandatory to have Nginx. Anything. It's not. Oh, sorry. Sample service I gave. See, this is also on this case. I gave a wrong service name. It's saying not available. Why the wrong service? If you observe, I gave the sample service. Where is the sample service? There is no sample something called service called sample service. I have to change to the correct name. Now apply it. Yes, refresh. It'll take some time. See, it'll work. That's so. No one leaves the it by default. I mean, so is it clear?
Hmm.
Now this is so far we have seen path-based routing. I mean one domain obviously, and where is it? Yeah, multiple paths. Correct. We can have multiple domains also now. Simple. Just what we do is where is rules? Rules already there. Simply just type hyphen host. Let's say google.com like this, and of course you can remove the HTTPS here. This is the that's it. So within google.com, these are the paths. You can have like this one. Let's say let me remove just to show you. Within google.com, these are the paths. Let's say if google.com someone hit it's I mean default, go to this service. If someone hit google.com slash Nginx, go to this service. I can have one more host like this. Simply copy this. I'll have one more host. Maybe youtube.com, something. Anything, any domain. Slash means go to the service, slash Nginx, go to the service. If it is youtube.com. So like this, host based on the host also we can try to do it. Got it? We can try this, but we cannot access in browser obviously because these domains we don't have domains yet. Maybe let's try with this foo.bar.com, foo.bar1.com. Let's create this ingress. Oh, sorry, sample is not there. Test vc and slash tom httpd I will keep httpd svc. If this domain is, I mean, let's say foo.bar1.com slash, it will go to here. If it is slash http, it will go to here. Same way here, foo.com, bar.com slash, it will go to here. Slash something, slash tomcat. Let's give it tom as an example, since we have that. I mean, this path also your wish, not just tomcat. Your wish, anything you can keep. It will take you. Got it? Now let's create it with a different, file. vi host ing.yml. Paste it. Let's see whether it will create it or not. I mean, earlier what we did is we have seen just directly path-based routing, one domain. Now what we did, we have multiple domains. We can have multiple host, whatever we define, and the domain name within the single within any host, we can have multiple roles like this, multiple paths. That's absolutely fine. So multiple hosts within that multiple rules. There is no issue with that. So is it clear? It's created. kubectl get ing. See, I used the same name obviously, so that's fine. See, these are the hosts. We can use this with hosts, but obviously these are not original domains. We cannot access from browser. We have to buy it. So what we can do is we can try to first try this one with curl, whether we can able to access or not. Sorry. Uh, my bad, my bad. It won't be accessible. I mean, that's obvious. Hmm, that's fine. So we cannot access, but yeah, we'll maybe see other way how to do it. Maybe since we are using the dummy domain, that's fine. Hmm, we have to configure a few things here. So first thing is I have to update the host file. There is something etc/host for domain name and resolving this file is exist in Linux. Don't sorry. So we have to update the host file. What my public IP. My node public IP is this. Of course, this is what we are accessing, right? Paste it foo.bar.com. Paste it foo.bar1.com. Just some in mapping it with our domain names. This is the IP of our node. Now it should resolve curl or ns. It's resolving. Cool. Now I think it might be blocked. Obviously, it will be blocked. That's okay. Connection refused. Failed to connect to who.com. What I have to use? The port number. Let me just try 69644. Sorry, 9644. See, this is a default page. It's coming to Nginx. If it is slash, what are the rules that we have defined? Foo.bar. I mean, this is the host. Default is Nginx, correct? Slash tomcat means it should come to 8080 slash tomcat. Let's see. See slash tomcat. Where is this? The URL. Where is this tomcat? Yeah, see. Obviously, it is a 4.4.5. Now, if I do curl bar1.com, did I not give that? Foo.bar1, okay. Is correct. I cannot resolve it. Let me open the file again. Foo I gave. You should tell right when I give something. That's why it's not resolving. See, Nginx it came. Slash httpd, it works. See, it works. Where is it? Yeah, see, http. You can access the same thing in browser if you have a original domain name, but we don't have it. So just dummy domain names. You got what I'm saying? See, of course, I told you already. We are using this port number because we don't have a load balancer. So we are using ingress with a port number. That's it. That is the only difference. But working is same. Is it clear? Is it clear about what is ingress? What does it do? And what on how does it work? The path-based routing, the host-based routing. How to configure that? How to install that? Is it clear? I'm sending this command also. So this usually you can use this only if when you try to apply Nginx Ingress, it will say timeout. If it says timeout, use the command. If it is not says, don't. You can ignore it. Of course, it will show you. But yeah, do not use it early. So is it clear in upper Ingress? It's simple. I mean, just once the installation is done, we write our own rules. We write our own host. I mean, our own host means obviously that our own domain, which we bought, and we'll be using that. Is it clear? Is it clear so far? Any doubts? Hmm? Any doubts?
Not
So do
no.
practice and do let me know if any doubts. Okay. So tomorrow same time, morning same time, our regular time. No worries about evening and all. Got it? So yeah, let's. Sorry,
Yes.
you saying something? Hello.
Sure. No,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
no problem.
Let's let's close it for today. We'll meet tomorrow same time. All right. Do practice. Bye. Bye. Bye all.